Hello and welcome to episode 141 of PubShorts. It is called The Great Unknown, and we are not the Great Unknown, Tony. I'm sure you understand that because we've been around for 140 episodes and more. My name is Dr. KK. I'm the Innovation Officer at Inago, and I have the smiling Tony who will explain why we are not the Great Unknown.
I would hope after 140 episodes, we're not the great unknown. We encourage more and more viewers out there. Go and press share and like and tell your friends about this podcast. Yes, thank you, everyone. Welcome to PubShorts. I'm Tony O'Rourke, and I'm going to let you know what this episode is called. We like to name the episodes after songs, and this one's no different. This episode is called The Great Unknown, which is a song by, it's actually a great album by another band, but I'll talk about it later on, by Enter Shakiri, who are a UK sort of new metal band from about 10, 15 years ago. And the song has a kind of a restless energy about stepping into unknown territories. And it fits a week where AI promises individual wins, but also collective risks from collapse of citations to narrowing research horizons. And while the industry charges ahead without knowing where it's really heading. So, yes, everything is possible. But we are going into a period of unknown.
I have to mention, Tony, these episode descriptions connecting to the song. I mean, I do not know how you do it. You are exceptional.
It's amazing how clear these introductions are. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the first story, and I'm shifting my screen to the first story. This is a Nature article. AI tools boost individual scientists, but could limit research as a whole. So it is behind a paywall, and I got it through the newsletter, so I have already taken my notes. So it is a study on the use of AI tools in scientific research, Tony. That's obvious. It found that scientists using AI tools publish more and get cited more. Again, I think everybody would expect that. They also advance in their careers faster. However, this is the key thing. The research focus narrows down when AI is used. So the study analyzed 41 million scientific papers. About 300,000 of those papers involve AI, like machine learning or generative AI. Now, the paradox, Tony, is that AI helps individual scientists to be more productive, but it narrows the field, which basically means that AI use or the chance of AI use is making some research fields produce more. And as a result, the other fields where maybe AI is not applicable or it's not popular because of AI, lack of AI, are shrinking. And this is a problem. And this, I don't know how to address it, but it is something that I think the industry or the academic sort of community should be aware of. And AI is great, but at the same time, we need to sort of pay attention to all types of research. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I can't remember what that analysis is called, but I did this years and years ago. Where there's that kind of you can look at innovation in 4 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
You've got first of all what you know,
Mm-hmm.
and what the market knows. You've got secondly, you've got what you don't know, but what the market knows.
Yes.
Thirdly, you've got what the market knows, but you know, and then fourthly, what the market doesn't know and what you don't know. That kind of that great unknown. We said we don't know anything. And if AI is built using LLMs and the LLMs are built using the global literature, it can only talk about what it knows.
Right.
And that sort of innovation piece is, I'm not saying it's missing, because I'm sure there's ways of getting around it, but I'm not seeing perhaps the evidence of true innovation being explored. So I can understand from that perspective why sort of research areas aren't necessarily expanding into other areas. I mean, what's that good case? Was it Fleming who accidentally found penicillin when he was looking for something else? And there's all sorts of examples like that. Would that have happened in an AI-led research environment? Probably not.
Well, I think that it could. I mean, we do not know. I mean, maybe AI could reveal these unknown unknowns, I suppose, as in from drawing from the episode title as well as your sort of 2x2 quadrant. What as I think, as let's say service providers, vendors like us, as well as publishers, we the industry needs to encourage all sorts of research. And that's the thing, as in, the publishers, commercial publishers especially, also need to sort of look at their margins and make sure that the research that they publish is sort of is popular and
well, no, let's leave margins out of it for a second. The margin is a side benefit. The main reason why publishers publish journals, yes, of course, commercial publishers want to be successful, but they're successful because they're publishing journals that readers want to publish in and want to read.
Right.
Because it's going to help their career, it's going to help the citation performance of their research, it's going to boost them in a number of ways. Profits just happen to be one
Right.
thing. You can't say that about society publishers, for example. Society publishers don't do it for profit.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So my point is, if suppose let's say AI becomes a hot topic and every publisher wants more AI papers because eventually it attracts more citations and eventually journal impact score increases and all of that, but that should not be at the cost of neglecting the other fields. That's the thing. So it's like a
Oh
more
no,
like
I
an
agree.
awareness.
I
Yeah.
agree. I just don't know how it's going to how it addresses it.
Right, right. So moving on to the next story, Tony. It is related to AI. I think a bunch of stories are related to AI in this. So this is titled "From Model Collapse to Citation Collapse: Risks of Over Reliance of AI in the Academy or in the academia." I guess suppose it's from the
In
Times.
the in academia, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it is from the Times Higher Education, which has been controversial. I forget. People are trying to boycott it because some ranking, as in India, that is, it's a sort of a very sort of a niche thing. I think some of the major institutions are not factored in some rankings covered by the Times Higher Education, as far as I understand, and people are sort of campaigning to boycott it or whatever. But
All right,
that's
moving on. Moving
yeah,
on.
right, right. The article discusses the model collapse phenomenon in AI, where models trained on machine generated data lose real world grounding. Okay, so which leads to output homogenization, reinforced misconceptions, and amplified biases. It draws on an analogy of groupthink to explain how AI models become insular and detached from reality. Groupthink, I think it is I think, if I'm not mistaken, cyberpunk term.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
It's what's it? It's oh gosh,
Snow Crash,
Kevin.
Neil
Yeah,
Stephenson. Yeah, yeah, I think so.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Concern is that these AI.
Kevin Anderson, Kevin L. Anderson,
I see.
the
So
cyberpunk.
right, right. A concern is that AI tools trained on data primarily from 2022. I mean, remember that, back when ChatGPT became a thing in our lives, we were all told that it is limited by, in terms of training data, until September 2021 or something, from that point of view. So there's a limitation to it. And that this risks the, or exacerbate the citation Matthew effect, which is basically, if suppose you have, it is the Matthew effect. I forget. I had looked it up. So it basically, it's amplification of existing sort of citations rather than looking for newer citations. I hope that that's what it is. I think, yeah, potentially leading to, yeah, I think it's like that. So it is a citation version of the Matthew effect, and eventually it could lead to citation collapse. And this phenomenon could lead to a future where research is based on a 2022 snapshot of knowledge, hindering development of new theories and stagnation of knowledge. So I mean, it is a valid point, and I'm not sure if the model training data has been updated, or whether the latest 5.2s and everything. I'm not sure. It extends the corpus that it can refer to extends to the rest of the, I guess, research output beyond 2022. But it is a valid point. I mean, if you use AI tools,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, what are your thoughts on it, and how should, as let's say, as people in the industry, we should sort of be wary of it, and probably prevent such, I guess, lensing, I would say, or ignorance. So, as the article calls it, what is it? Model collapse. Yeah,
Yeah,
citation
I
collapse. Yeah.
suppose I'm surprised. Well, I'm surprised that it's still considered to be an issue when there's so much going on in the background with organizations like OpenAI and others actively licensing content for training purposes with the main academic publishers. We saw stories from the likes of Taylor and Francis, Oxford University Press over the last few years, who were keen to make out, look, you can have this, but this comes at a cost, and it has to come. Of course, it has to come at a cost. Any kind of repurposing, relicensing has to have a cost associated with it. But it's a real problem. Imagine if those LLMs in 2020 from 2022 aren't updated, and in 10 years' time they remain unupdated. What possible use is the LLM going to be?
Well, it's a
They have to
training
be
data.
updated.
Remember, training data. They get not updated fast enough for research is the argument. It's the training data. They'll still be better, keep on getting better. But if researchers use that to, let's say, get citation or do literature review, they are not using the entire breadth of
No,
research,
and they're
especially.
always going to be behind the curve.
Yeah, so that is a problem, and how do you prevent it? Or let's say, I don't think the citation collapse refer to it will happen, but it is something that I guess as an industry we should be wary of, and probably encourage researchers to use AI responsibly, especially a literature review. I mean, it's a good use case for AI, but they have to also do their own work and vet and probably read outside of AI. Manual reading, as in old-fashioned library reading and everything. That's very relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 And you've got to read the literature to fully appreciate the context.
Yeah.
It's one thing having an AI summary delivered to you, but you have to understand the background, the method, the approach, the conclusions in order to fully understand the research. And you're not always going to get that through an AI summary.
Right. All right, moving on to the next story. Tony, if Wall Street Journal, Rolling Stone, etc. are mentioning AI stuff very openly, that means that things are changing in the society. And I think I have proof of it because I've officially converted to a Claude Code person. So this is a Wall Street Journal talking about Claude. Claude is taking the AI world by storm, and even non-nerds, I think I'm a nerd, are blown away.
I think I'm a non-nerd.
Yeah, and we are talking not just Claude, okay, we are talking about Claude Code. So to summarize before I read my main notes, this is a terminal, and this is, I think, in a terminal in Mac OS, and this is where you basically, instead of going to Claude or Anthropic's website on a browser, you sort of interact with the model through the terminal, and you can also give it permission to access your own files. So it basically is a very efficient way of doing it, and it is mind-blowingly cool if you're interested in learning and doing stuff with it, which you cannot do with the browsers. Okay, so this is how it looks, and I've been pretty much doing this for the last 10 days or so. And it is absolutely amazing. Somebody told me like a couple of days ago that AI was supposed to help creators do tedious tasks, but it has always been doing creative tasks for tedious people, and that shift into creative people, getting help from AI to do tedious tasks. I think Claude Code is an example, and OpenAI has Codex. And let me read some of the notes. So this is about a phenomenon that is going beyond, let's say, the nerds, and users using Claude AI, apparently, as for the article, are using Claude Code and finding it. And I've personally experienced this in an SSP AI committee where I was taken through Claude Code, and I was like mind blown. And so this is called Claude pilling as for the article. And like beyond software engineers, executives, investors are reportedly impressed by the features that it has. As I said, it can access local files, and it is attracting users beyond basically the technical professionals. And the impact of Claude is being compared to the initial launch of generative AI, which is ChatGPT. And I am siding with that argument, Tony, in the sense that this is after the ChatGPT sort of became a thing in our lives. I think this sort of a thing, using code based or terminal based thing to access files in our system and do like things that it would take you hours, with obviously human guardrails, and you supervise what's being done, is probably the future of AI.
So
What are
if
your
I'm a
thoughts?
researcher, how will it help me?
So you'll have to understand what a Google, Notebook LM would do. So Notebook LM for the last 2 years or so has been considered widely to be the best AI, generative AI interface for such things. For example, so basically, in a nutshell, you can drag a bunch of PDFs. Let's say you're doing extensive literature review, and you have a bunch of PDFs of papers that you've downloaded. You can drag it into Notebook LM on a browser, and it will give you referenced answers, and you use it to learn. You can have a podcast generated out of it. You can have a quiz generated out of it, and you can lots of very useful use cases. Now, you still had to drag things into your browser, right? As a researcher, if you had PDFs on your computer, you could use Claude Code to query the PDFs, just the local PDFs. So you have that constraint already, and you can just keep on learning, and you can iterate it, and it's beautiful. And I've been using Claude Code with Obsidian, and it's given me insights about my own life because I journal a lot, more than I could ever imagine anything to do. So wonderful. So what are your thoughts on it?
I really have nothing to say. But the whole thing about AI in the last 3 years is that every couple of weeks, every month, there's some fantastic new breakthrough technology that's changing, that's overhauling, that's revolutionizing the way we work, the way we think, the way we live.
Uh-huh.
And this is just another example. I think I need to sit down with Claude and actually play with it myself.
Yeah,
to
Claude
determine
Code
how
though.
useful it is to me.
Yeah, Claude Code is the thing.
The Claude
Claude is
Code.
cool, and I think a bunch of people are generally shifting to Claude, but Claude Code is cooler. And I honestly have to say that I hadn't sort of explored Codex.
Maybe we should think about having a webinar
Yeah.
called Claude Code for researchers.
Yes,
What
maybe.
it can do for
Or
you.
Codex as well. Codex is the OpenAI version of it, and I haven't explored it. all of this takes a lot of time, sort of, get into it. But once you get into it, it's just the most joyous thing in terms of if
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
nerd like me. All right, moving on to the next article, Tony. We have again another AI article. So this is, wait, let me just go back to the wait, hold on. Yeah. So this is titled Ensemble. I'll just shift to the screen. Yeah, Ensemble listening model. So this is a new thing, and I'll explain the context as to why we are talking about it. So this page introduces this ensemble listening model, and these kind of models consist of many specialized submodels managed by an orchestration layer, improving the accuracy at a fraction of the cost of a regular sort of a AI system. And the components include dynamic ensemble blocks, which are collections of similar models managed by a sub orchestrator and hierarchical layers and everything. And this is a lot of technical stuff, but the reason why I brought it up because people have been talking in the context of research that this sort of a thing would be very useful for complex research tasks like the peer review. So because it can sort of do more than the classical one, and the listening part is that it highlights this kind of sort of architecture's origin in voice understanding. So there is an omni sort of input feature as well, and this could be the next cool thing. I know we just talked about Claude Code, but this could be the next cool thing. And I don't know what you will say to this, Tony, but I'm I'm waiting for you to say something about ensemble listening models.
I have nothing to say. Once again, the technology is right over my head. I don't understand where this is going, how I can use this.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, any complex research task, let's say peer review, if suppose you want to use beyond, I mean, if you, I mean, Tony, you're aware that NEJM has already started using NEJM AI is a sort of a
Yeah,
journal where AI is
yeah, yeah.
doing officially peer review. There are a bunch of other journals who are starting to do this. This is all cool. That's the best model, but using basically a chat sort of an interface, right? Now, if you want to make more specialized one, which are like really sort of they drill down to the problem. It's like agentic AI, but even better with the omni input. And I feel that this could be the solution, at least maybe 5 years down the line, that people are going to implement an ensemble sort of models with orchestration layers and everything in publishing use cases, which would theoretically improve the quality of the output and the reliability of the outputs that from a publisher point of view or a researcher point of view. That is the main point, and I thought I was I was excited, and I hope you share my excitement.
Well, KK, it demonstrates why you're our head of innovation and I'm not.
Well, I think that's okay. Fine. I'll thank you, and I'll move on to the next story. I don't know what else to say. So this is from Research Information, Tony.
Nor do I.
This is so this is
Yes.
yeah. I think this is something that we already have talked about, and you actually brought this up, as in you
Yeah.
wanted this to be
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah.
So this one is actually not a real news story in the sense that we covered this, I think, in November, Tony. So it is basically the making live of Leap Space, which is a new sort of scientific research grade AI assisted workspace that Elsevier has planned. So this is called
Mm.
Leap Space. And it aims to provide deeper insights and accelerate innovation and improve collaboration in a secure environment. And it distinguishes itself by integrating multi-modal responsible AI with transparency, data, and privacy, and grounding in peer-reviewed scientific content. So that's a cool thing about it. This sort of a workspace will allow researchers to query paywall or whatever, the subscription based full length review content apart from other content like abstracts, which are again scientific content. It's not just simply asking AI. And from that point of view, it should give you a higher quality response. And this is basically being made live 2 months after its announcement, and that's the story. What are your thoughts? Why are you excited about this, Tony?
Well, I'm not particularly excited about this story, but what I thought was interesting, this is another demonstration how big publishers like Elsevier
Mm-hmm.
understand the need. If one of the ways they can be relevant to today's researcher is not just by offering content, but really intelligent, informed ways of managing and accessing that content. I mean, they've had really good examples of this in the past.
Yeah.
With things like Clinical Key, for example, which was their resource to help understand sort of medical content and to almost help in the diagnostic process.
Right.
So again, this provides the library with a means of being able to again almost reinforce why the library exists. The library isn't just a place where they can get content. The library is a place where you can get content and understand that content and perhaps use that content more widely than the way you would historically through a sort of traditional journal license.
Right.
No, I just think it's a really good example. Another really good example how a publisher like Elsevier
Mhm.
is thinking, is trying to think of what can I do, not just to make my content relevant, but to make the overall engagement with content relevant.
Right. Tony, one important point that I should have asked you, I'm sharing the screen again, is that new licensing agreements have been signed with Emerald, IOP Publishing, NEJM Group, and Sage. So all of these, remember, licensing agreements means that Leap Space can access behind paywall content
Yeah,
from all of these.
yeah, yeah,
This is the
yeah.
cool part of it. And apart from obviously Scopus abstracts and everything, so lots of things. So it is going to be, I guess, Elsevier is one of the leaders in terms of AI in the publishing space. So from that point of view, it's a very cool thing. And I'm excited. I would love to try all of
I
these
mean,
out.
the thing, if it was just Elsevier alone, it'd be big.
Yeah.
It'd be substantial. I mean,
Yeah. Right.
I can't remember how many journals now, but millions and millions of articles every year, and they're adding to that. Publishers who appreciate, look, there's more than one place where the author's going to go
Right.
to access my content. As long as they subscribe to my content, as long as they access my content in a legal way, we want them to make the best possible use of it. And it's just another good example.
Right. Tony, the last main story that we have is related to AI and education, a raging topic. This is from the 74 four takeaways from new report on AI's risks in education. So this is from Brookings Institution highlights. This report is from Brookings Institution highlights a significant risk of AI in education. The study is based only on interviews with students, parents, and teachers globally, and it suggests that AI's downsides outweigh its benefits to young learners. Now, remember that there are positives and negatives, but from a young learner, like a child learner, school-going kid point of view, it is, as per the survey, it is on the negative side. So AI can hinder foundational development by encouraging students to shortcut learning, which may lead to less cognitive growth. I think you and I have talked about that. Unlike professionals with mature brains, students can use AI as a surrogate rather than as a cognitive partner, potentially diminishing their skills. The report also indicates that AI can negatively impact social and emotional development, and over reliance on AI chatbots for tasks or emotional support or companionship might hinder students' ability to form relationships, cope with challenges, and maintain mental health. So the trust between students and teachers is eroding as well because of the AI. And we have been talking about many of these things, and I'll let you share your thoughts. Teachers doubt the authenticity of students' work. That's a classical problem for which we have built a product, which I think maybe you can explain further. And while students distrust teachers who use AI without transparency, you've probably heard both sides of the story when you speak to institutions. But despite the risk, the report suggests that it's not too late to mitigate these negative effects. It recommends shifting educational focus away from easily automated tasks to co-creating AI tools with educators and students, and implementing AI literacy programs for students, educators, and families. So these are all considered crucial. All of this is a wonderful article. I'm thankful for having read it because it aligns with a lot of things. Maybe it's an echo chamber, but at the same time, this is very relevant in the context of education. So it is a wonderful document, and I'm sure that you agree with most of the points that I've listed down in while I narrated it. Now, I want you to talk about your perspective because you have spoken with so many, I guess, people representing institutions, especially from the US, in terms of the challenges that they face with vis-a-vis students and AI.
Yeah, so one of the services that there were two things. I mean, one of the services that we launched last year. So I don't know if you can hear my cats mewling at me in high volume in the background. One of the services that we launched last year was it was called the Responsible AI. It was not a product, it's a service called the Responsible AI Movement. We've talked about this in previous episodes. And Responsible AI Movement is all about trying to show educators, researchers, learners, what does best practice mean when it comes to using AI in your content creation, whether you're writing an essay, whether you're writing a dissertation, whether you're creating teaching materials, what does best practice look like? How open and how honest should you be? And the answer is you can't be open and honest enough. Because and we've spoken again about this before. The reality is AI is here. AI is being used in a variety of different ways, and learners and teachers have to adapt to that technology because it's not going to go away. And we also launched a product last year called DocuMark, which is about trying to provide for want of a better word, trying to demonstrate what the version of truth is. How much of their content has been written, has been created by the author, I mean, that physically typed into the document itself. How much of the document has been cut and pasted from another source, how much of it's been plagiarized, and how much of it's AI generated. So we look at a typical document, we're about to say, well, look, hang on, what we've been able to determine, the way this content's been written, there's a 20% probability that this section here or this content here has been AI generated, a 50% probability of plagiarism, etc. So that the educator has a means of being able to and almost like grade from an originality and AI perspective how that content has come into being.
Right. From an educator point of view, you need to know if the student has actually grasped some of the things. And this is just a signal that helps in understanding and also makes the students aware. As in, if you don't have some interfaces, students are sort of, they're okay in the sense they don't know what to do. And they might end up simply copy pasting from, let's say, a ChatGPT answer. And yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, if when you provide something sort of that makes them think twice or check twice whether, what they just pasted, did they actually read it? Did they verify it? Do they understand it? That itself creates that friction that makes the students think and hence probably take less risks in terms of doing this and probably encourage more learning, which addresses some of the core points that this article states.
Yeah, I agree. I think, what the skills of what makes a good teacher is the same today as it was 20, 30, 40 years ago, 100 years ago. A good teacher is there to ensure learning, to ensure that the pupil, the researcher, the graduate student has through whatever means, whatever process they've got to getting to that point, whether reading or AI or a combination of both, that they understand what's been presented to them and that they can demonstrate it back to that teacher in a meaningful way.
Right. Quickly, Tony, where can people find, let's say researchers watching PubShorts or somebody from an institution is watching PubShorts, where can they find more about DocuMark and Responsible AI?
We're just relaunching the Responsible AI website, but if you just search for inaugural Responsible AI movements or responsible use of AI, Responsible AI.
Responsible,
you'll find the current webpage, and DocuMark, just search for Inago DocuMark on your browser and you'll go directly to that page.
Excellent. So, are you ready, Tony, for the quick hits?
I'm always ready. I was born ready.
You are from that generation who says such things. So, quickly. So, the first quick hit is that OpenAI is supposedly coming out with a hardware device. And are you curious, Tony, as to what it is? It is likely to be a sleek, pocket-sized gadget designed for context-aware AI assistance and noise filtering. So basically, you can talk to it, and we've talked about Rabbit and related things, but OpenAI itself is coming out with a product which is crazy, and I just want to know what you think about it. Are you excited about it? Are you considering purchasing one when it hits the market?
Okay, to take those questions in order, no, and definitely not. I don't understand why. I mean, I'm sure there's very good reason for this, and I'm sure there are strategic reasons for this. Why there isn't greater integration with the current platforms, licensing the software that's used for this particular device on a smartphone, so that they can not just be used by those people who buy that OpenAI device, but by every possible buyer of that smartphone, whether it's Apple, Samsung, whatever. I'm sure there's good reason. And the really AI geeky community will love to have an AI exclusive tool in their pockets alongside their phone and any other device they might have in their pockets. I'm not sure I'm one of them.
Right. And I think there are other questions that you might want to answer, but I've got to tell you, so the whole idea is that phones, you obviously can have voice triggers and everything, and phones are not going to be always sort of listening to you, but generally the trend is that there are rings as well as there are these gadgets that you can wear already, which are meant to sort of guide. Let's say you're talking to people and it'll sort of get all the, let's say, meeting related information that you might want to talk about, to-do list, what you're supposed to do when you go to the grocery store and everything. It is supposed to capture all of it and to basically process it and send it into your tasks or notes or whatever. That's the whole point of such devices. And it is also to not use a phone. So back to your...
I suppose my only comment before we move on to the next story, KK, is that, how long is it going to be before the smartphone can do that? It can't be that far away.
Well, people are arguing that the smartphone is going away, and this is the new smartphone that.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. All right. So quickly, Anthropic, Tony, we have talked about it. It's considered to be the most sort of AI ethics forward company. So basically, in this story, how Anthropic teaches Claude to be good, it basically it presents the company presents itself as ethics first, and it is updating an AI model. It's AI model Claude with Claude with a constitution to guide its ethical reasoning. This focus on safety and values should be a differentiator in the competitive AI landscape, is what basically this article says. And we've talked about it. Claude is in AI ethics forward, and I'm happy that at least people are talking about it. Any quick thoughts on it?
No,
All right. Now,
really no.
okay,
I'm glad Anthropic is teaching Claude how to be good. There we are. There's a thought.
ethical is a better way to say it. So this
And
is
ethical.
yeah, this is a wonderful piece from the New York Times. The An AI pioneer warns tech herd is marching to a dead end. So I'll summarize it for you. This is he's Jan LeCun is considered to be a godfather in AI as far as I understand. But anyway, he's one of the foundational sort of people behind AI and eventually generative AI. And he thinks that LLMs, which is basically generative AI, are probably a dead end if you're chasing artificial general intelligence, and we need to think of other types of AI, including what is coming up as world model building artificial intelligence as the path towards artificial general intelligence. That's all. Any thoughts on this? Do you think that I mean, we've talked about AGI. I still don't know what your prediction. I don't remember what your prediction was for AGI. Did you think?
I,
Yeah, go on.
I think my prediction is that there will eventually be some kind of, for want of a scientific term, sentient computer device. I'm not sure we're there yet. Jan LeCun is clearly a man who's worked in this space for a long time and understands the limitations of the existing technology, even though it's getting better and better and better. It's still learning from other people's experiences and content. Maybe there has to be a new way of reaching that point, which doesn't require that kind of training. I don't know.
Right.
We'll have to see.
Okay, the last story, quick hit. Get FTR enables AI tools to check access rights. So Get FTR, basically, it's one of my favorite plugins. I think you have shown it to you
Yeah.
several times. So I have this on somewhere here. It basically shows you what access you have and whether there have been errata and consent. So what it has now added is that it now has a capability allowing AI tools to check user content entitlements in real time, routing them to the correct full text through smart links. Because basically it acts through the model context protocol mechanism, which is a open sort of mechanism for AI systems to talk to each other to improve context and everything. Get FTR provides the information so that within an AI application you will be directed to the right actual subscription or whatever content if you have it, so that you can get more valuable rich content, which is great in terms of accuracy, in terms of scientific output creation and everything. Wonderful. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. I'm surprised that more and more of these content discovery platforms aren't using AI to manage your enablement rights. It absolutely makes sense. You can do it more quickly, more accurately, more detail. Perhaps uncover content that you didn't realize your institution had access to. So for a library that's subscribing to content, that's licensing content, for an institution that's investing very heavily in providing resources for research, I think extending the capabilities of your discovery platforms is fantastic.
Yep. And that brings us to the end of the episode, Tony. Well, the good thing is that our listeners do not have a challenge in accessing our own content, the last 140 content. It's out there. It's on
we're the
Google.
only challenges our listeners have to face when they're watching us.
Okay, so how can they find? I mean, I know that it's very easy to find, but at least how can we encourage them to find that? And so basically, spend an entire month listening to us talking about research stories.
What a great way to spend a month. So all you need to do is go to the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, just search for Inago PubShorts, and you'll see all previous 140 episodes there. We encourage you to press that like button, to share the content with your colleagues if you think they're interested. Send us comments and suggestions for topics. Let us know what you think of these episodes and whether you find them useful or not. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, quick thought. When is the next gig where you're seeing Enter Shikari perform?
Yes, I haven't got it in my diary just yet. Although I did go to a gig last night. I went to a jazz gig last night, which was
Right.
wonderful.
Okay, great. So until the next episode, maybe Tony will share the date of his next Enter Shikari live performance.
I will. It'll be sometime in the year 2386.
All right.
I'll be there in virtual form.
Yes, yes, you will
Nothing
definitely.
against and nothing against Enter Shikari. I'm sure they're a great band. They're just not one of my favourites.
Yeah, until the next episode, this is Dr. KK signing off for Tony as well as the team that helps us in creating such content. We will see you in the next one. Bye bye, Tony.
See you in the next one.